You already found someone who seemed to be the personification of reason, kindness, generosity, and yet felt a slight discomfort, a little strangeness, didn't you? It's as if something in the air didn't quite fit, isn't it? This intuition, this gentle guiding voice, is a valuable gift that alerts us to what lies beyond the obvious. The true challenge often doesn't manifest in outbursts of anger or open hostility, but in something much more subtle, almost imperceptible at first glance. The wisdom that guides us shows that the deepest danger doesn't reside in what we instinctively fear, like aggression or dishonesty. On the contrary, it can hide behind a calm facade of control, and even an engaging charm. It's this discretion that makes it so treacherous, because what we deny in ourselves can go unnoticed until its manifestations become more evident in our lives or relationships. And it's precisely this subtlety that makes the situation so powerful, isn't it? Because when something disguises itself so well, our natural guard lowers. Louise Hay always encouraged us to look within, to question what we feel, and to recognize that truth often lies beyond appearances. She reminds us that true security comes from our ability to discern, to feel the energy behind words and smiles, and to embrace all parts of our being. So, how can we protect ourselves? And more importantly, how can we become more whole and transparent individuals? To understand this dynamic that affects us, we first need to dive a little deeper into how our own mind works. It's an invitation to a journey of self-discovery, where I am the loving guide who accompanies you. Allow yourself to say internally, I am the truth and the light that illuminates my path. To understand this journey of self-discovery, we need to look at how our mind works. Louise Hay teaches us that from a very young age, we learn to present a part of ourselves to the world, the part we believe is acceptable and worthy of love. It's as if we put on an outfit for every occasion, seeking approval and belonging. But deep down, we know there's much more to us than what we show. Behind this outfit we wear for the world, there's a vast inner universe filled with feelings, impulses, and talents we might have kept hidden. These are the parts of us that, at some point, didn't receive applause or were even rejected. Think of the child you once were. Perhaps they learned to hide their anger, their vulnerability, or even their ambition because the environment didn't fully embrace them. Louise Hay reminds us that what is denied doesn't disappear. It merely retreats into the unconscious, waiting for the moment to manifest. This suppression creates an internal tension, an imbalance that, over time, can influence our choices, our reactions, and even our perception of reality. It's like a river seeking its course. If we block it, it will find another path, often unexpectedly. True healing and the path to wholeness, according to Louise Hay, begin when we embrace and love every little piece of who we are, without judgment. It's an act of courage to look at these hidden parts and say, I see you, I accept you, I love you. By doing so, we release incredible energy into our lives, and then we can repeat with an open heart, I am whole, I am love, I am acceptance. It's important to understand that this part of us we call shadow is not intrinsically bad. Louise Hay teaches us that it is in fact a repository of everything we don't acknowledge within ourselves, whether out of fear, shame, or because it doesn't fit external expectations. There can lie our deepest impulses, our vulnerabilities, and even talents and qualities we've never allowed ourselves to fully express. What happens then when these parts are not embraced? They don't disappear. They don't dissolve into nothingness. On the contrary, When we don't face them with love and understanding, they can become distorted, seeking indirect ways to manifest. That's why sometimes we find ourselves projecting onto others what we don't accept in ourselves, blaming the world for feelings that, in truth, reside in our own hearts. Louise Hay reminds us that this denial is like stagnant energy, an emotional time bomb that needs attention. If we don't look at what's stored away, this energy can transform into resentment, criticism, or even physical ailments, as she so well described. It's a loving invitation for us to become aware of everything that pulses within us. It's an act of profound self-love to recognize that everything within us seeks expression. When we refuse to see our own flaws or fears, they don't stop influencing us. On the contrary, they gain strength behind the scenes, shaping our reactions and perceptions in ways we don't always understand. Allow yourself to say with tenderness, "I am the awareness that illuminates every part of my being." Ah, my dear, when we deny our deepest impulses, those emotions we prefer not to feel, they don't vanish like smoke. Louise Hay teaches us that instead, they retreat into our unconscious, accumulating an energy that sooner or later will seek a way to manifest. It's like a river that, when dammed, finds other outlets, often with greater force and in unexpected ways. This repressed energy, according to the wisdom Louise Hay shared with us, doesn't stay still. It transforms. Parts of us that are denied can manifest in indirect and sometimes destructive ways, seeking expression through channels we don't always recognize. This can emerge as patterns of self-sabotage, irrational fears that seem to come from nowhere, or even compulsive behaviors that leave us bewildered. It's fascinating to observe how someone can appear serene and calm on the outside, while their inner world tells a very different story. This disconnection between what we show and what we truly feel creates a tension that needs a release valve. Sometimes it manifests in emotional outbursts, sharp sarcasm, or subtle acts of control, disguised as concern. Deep down, it's the unrecognized shadow seeking its voice. Louise Hay reminds us that the more we ignore these signs, the more they intensify, pushing us towards a breaking point or a great transformation. It's an invitation for us to look within with courage and love, for by integrating all our part, we become more complete and authentic. Allow yourself to feel, "I am the courage that leads me to my inner truth." The perfection trap. We often fall into the trap of believing we are entirely good, that our intentions are always pure, and that we are above any flaw. This illusion of moral superiority, though it may seem harmless, can be a great obstacle to our growth. Louise Hay teaches us that when we see ourselves as flawless beings, we lose the ability to reflect on our own actions. It's a subtle block to true self-knowledge and our capacity to love ourselves completely. This belief that we are fundamentally just leads us to justify behaviors that, otherwise, we would recognize as harmful. Manipulation can be seen as help, control as protection, and even cruelty as tough love. Louise Hay reminds us that behind these justifications often hides a refusal to look at our own imperfections. It's a cycle that prevents true healing and forgiveness, for there is nothing to forgive if there is nothing to acknowledge. Louise Hay's wisdom shows us that the more we cling to an identity of untouchable virtue, the more likely we are unconsciously to manifest its opposite. This happens because the parts we deny don't disappear. They seek an outlet, even if in a distorted way. It's as if the energy we try to hide finds a crack to express itself, often in ways that surprise and discomfort us. I am the truth that reveals itself in every experience. This dynamic is an invitation for us to look beyond appearances and recognize that denying any part of ourselves can have profound consequences. What connects all these patterns, this illusion of perfection, and the distorted manifestation of what is denied? It's the absence of full awareness of who we truly are, with all our light and shadow. And that's what we'll talk about next, about the most important sign Louise Hay teaches us to observe. Louise Hay's wisdom reveals that the most dangerous sign in a person is not the presence of flaws, but rather the complete absence of awareness of them. When someone refuses to admit their own capacity to err, to feel anger, to be cruel, or to deceive, that person becomes, in a way, unpredictable. It's as if they build a wall around themselves, preventing the light of self-knowledge from entering. Louise teaches us that true strength lies in recognizing and embracing all our parts. It's not the existence of darkness within us that makes us dangerous, but rather the denial of it. Those who acknowledge their own imperfections are, in fact, more trustworthy, as they are aware of their potential to cause harm, and thus take steps to prevent it. Louise Hay always guided us towards self-observation, because by knowing ourselves deeply, we cultivate confidence in ourselves and in others. I am the awareness that allows me to see the truth within me. People who believe they have no shadow or flaws are often blind to their own behavior. They justify everything, rationalize anything, and leave a trail of confusion wherever they go, without ever understanding the role they played in situations. For Louise